Give me 1 second, people. I am getting ready to do this. Oh my goodness, I just read something from VA Secretary Doug Collins. Oh, okay, that should be interesting. Okay, everybody. Welcome to Midday with Cassandra Williamson. I'm coming to you from, as the image says right there in front of you, Hatfield McCoy Feud Country. Yeah, that's where we are. Yeah, well, you can come on out. You can ride ATVs around here. Bring your own. There may be some around, I'm not sure, or plenty of places to buy one. But anyway, come on out. These are the best trails in the country for ATV riding, UTV riding, things like that. Look forward to having you in the community because this is the place if you want to go riding around on the top of the hills and through the valleys and the dales and all that kind of stuff around through here. So it is here. And plenty of trail opportunities. A lot of the places that do this are filling up quickly. And I know that 4th of July is coming up here real soon, next Friday, and we want to be ready for that to celebrate the independence of our country from Great Britain. And that's a huge thing. And I like to talk about the Declaration of Independence and all that kind of thing on that day because, it's important. It's important to understand that, right? To dig into it. So here we are. Let me go ahead and put myself back up on the screen again. Let's see who's around. So this has been one of those days. I tried something new this morning. Went out and did, I don't know if you know what is it called? Stripe? Not Stripe. Let me look on my phone. Hold on a second here. It's Spark. Spark is with Walmart, and it's a way you can make a little extra money out there. It does take a little bit to go through the process to be vetted and everything, but it is if you're looking for extra income, you need to be doing that or DoorDash or something. You don't have to be tied down to whatever it is you do. You can go find ways to make a living, and not just a living, but I do it because I am retired. I retired a number of years ago, and it gets me out of the house up here as a caregiver for mom and brother, sister, and going out and helping my cousin on occasion too. So everyone's doing fine. If anyone's asking, they're all doing fine today. Just took a pizza out of the oven not too long ago, and so that was their noontime snack. And so everybody's fine up here in the holler. But that's one of the reasons I do go out is because, one, I typically have to make trips to the store to get things for everyone, go to the pharmacy and things, and go take people to the doctor. And and I actually am really blessed to be able to do that, to be in a position where I can do that. And it's important. It's important for me to be able to do it. And I am free to do that. I'm so glad to be able to do it too. Glad to be needed as I am, just as I am, just as you see. This is me. 24/7. And yeah, I go out for another reason too, because I do like to interact with people and see people and get and talk with them. I took some stuff from Walmart this morning up to a place where I actually grew up in Pike County, Kentucky, called Forest Hills, Kentucky. I grew up there it's another holler. I grew up there, and I took some stuff from Walmart up there for this lady, and I didn't know her, but she's been there 30 years, but I left a long time ago. A long time ago. Almost 50 years ago. Seems like pretty close. Yeah, about right at 50 years ago. So she wasn't around when I was there. But it was good talking with her. She had lost her husband recently, and this year. And so, it's good to be out and see people and be there and hear them and to hear them tell their stories and things. And that's really crucial, really is. And it's important for that. And I'm so glad that I can do that. Go out there, interact, engage with people, hear them. I go to the pharmacy and they're all asking about my brother because everybody knows my brother around here. Yep. Everyone knows my brother. which is cool, which is good. So when I was leaving the house this morning to go out and start the first trip for Walmart for the Spark thing, um, there was a bear beside the road, just a small black bear, but it sprinted up the side of the hill, and you could see it up there in the hill, up on the side of the hill. And the road is right here, and the hill's right there. It goes, wow, up. So it's the bear just goes, went up the hill, and there's probably maybe 3 feet tall, but it's climbing around, so it might have been just 2 feet when it's on all fours, but it's still a black bear. And all kinds of deer around here. You can see all those things too whenever you come into this area, into either Pike County, Kentucky along the Tug River, or Mingo County, West Virginia, also along the Tug River, which is just really near here, very close to here, 5 miles, 6 miles max. But if you come in here and you bring your ATV, you're likely to see all of these things all over this place. They reintroduced the bears a number of years ago. They brought in panthers too. They've been here before, but panthers have been around. They're here. Deer all over the place, and a lot of stuff in the hills that people like to do. They get away. Companies actually come in, and corporations come in and rent out facilities, cabins for a year in advance, a couple of years in advance, and they just use that as their place to kind of build camaraderie with their companies and things. So this is the place, folks. This is where it is. Williamson, West Virginia. Just go over there. You can visit there. Pikeville, Kentucky. Less than 30 miles apart, those two. So members of my family in different respects from the first one who came here actually in 1795, moved from Russell County, Virginia, across the mountain into Pike County, Kentucky. And so came here as Floyd County then. But they came here, and I mean, that first one, he and his brother, he had a brother by the name of Benjamin, but he had, oh my God, 13, 14 kids, something like that, with 2 different wives. First one died. He had more with the other one. I mean, family's been here for a long time, and incorporated in all kinds of different things throughout both states and in this region of Kentucky and West Virginia. And yeah, so we've been here a while. My mom's family's been here a while. I mean, this is it. So come in and check it out sometime if you're looking for a place to kind of get out into the woods and see things. And it's right here in the hills of Eastern Kentucky. This is it, folks. This is it. So there are a few things we can talk about. Yesterday, I started the conversation around research and collaboration, but what happens most often in that particular arena of academia is that the researchers are pretty much siloed and stuck within their particular way of thinking and particular way of believing things. And the research comes out, I mean, it's really valid research. It's well done. It's scientific. It's rational. It's done well. But other people disagree with it because it was done by that group. It was siloed within that group. There's an echo chamber there. And the people who participated in it, or not the people who participated in it, but the people who designed it and implemented it and started collecting the data, have preconceived ideas about where it is they want to go. And they look at the data and they try to follow the science and be scientific in the methods that they use. But the challenge is that they don't have any other voices as part of the design team. They don't have an adversarial collaboration going on. What I mean by adversarial relationship or adversarial collaboration is that you have a adversarial team 1 and adversarial team 2. Each of them have different ideological perspectives on things. And then you have a mediator who's actually working to bring those two groups together so that they can together create a study that actually both sides can respect, because both had a voice in it, but there is a third party besides the mediator. The mediator also includes community partners of the particular population they're studying. And that adds validity to the study that is beyond just something applicable to the community and to the side that would have designed it without that adversarial collaboration. By doing that, you actually engage with other views and actually have an opportunity to go beyond and to reach beyond and influence and actually present information and data and results in a way that opposing viewpoints can appreciate, because they were involved in the process from the beginning. That's called adversarial collaboration. Penn State has a program that does that, but also put together a research topic of my own that actually incorporates some of these ideas, and I'll put it down on the website here in a little while. Go through it again. But we need to be doing more of that, because what's happening in our groups, in our silos that we operate in, we've become so entrenched. We've become so narrow in our focus that we are leaving the rest of the people in the country by moving in our direction. Our silo is right here. The other silos are over here. The right silos, the left silos, the transgender silo, the gays and lesbians and everybody else silo, and Christians and Muslims and all of these different American groups. They get siloed in there and they think that they have the word on what's going on. But as they progress through their particular sets of beliefs, they diverge further and further apart. And that's what's happening. And that's why we're seeing such a division in the country. But it goes beyond that, though, because there's also actors out there who have always been looking for things to go after, particularly certain populations in the country that they don't like LGBT people. And certain groups actually have that focus in their DNA. That's where they came from. That's how they got started. And so as they do their stuff and research, they go this way. And then as the community goes and further insulates itself from the rest of the world, it goes this way. And what's happening is you can't bring them together too easily. And you have to have a deliberate design to be able to bring them together, to have a conversation, to get across that divide so that you can find something common to look at and study and review. And it causes a lot of division. And a lot of times this adversarial collaboration doesn't work because people just can't come together. They can't get over their biases about the other group that they're having to engage with. And I'm seeing that all over the place over on X, on both X channels that I have, where people will just, I was muted the other day in a conversation that I'd actually started because, I kind of followed up on a question somebody else had and engaged in this. And then I got muted because I asked that question. I asked things like that. And I tried to engage with people, and they're stuck in their silo and they can't get out of it. This group over here stuck in their silo and they can't get out of it, and they don't want anything to do with that one. But that seems to be what's going on. But these groups have been working overtime going after trans people. Whenever Obergefell went through with the Marriage Equality Act in 2015, I think it was, the groups that don't like LGBT people had to find another thing to talk about. And to try to, so what they did was they tested some concepts out there, and they found out that trans people, particularly trans women in athletics, was a topic that could start a fire. So they started focusing on that one shortly after 2015 and started hitting it harder and harder and harder, to the point where today we've got it where the whole of the federal government is opposed to anything that has to do with trans people. And the only reason is it was a political tactic. The American College of Pediatrics, founded in 2002 with the express purpose of preventing LGBT people from adopting kids, has become has become more broadly focused on all things gender and sexuality, sexual orientation. I mean, they focus on that. They're social conservatives and they're entitled to their beliefs, absolutely. But I would love to have some of those doctors on that group, the American College of Pediatrics, to actually work with people over on our side who are in the American Academy of Pediatrics, and collaborate and find something that they agree on. But instead, each builds their own base of information and own studies that's designed the way they want it. And then their questions are designed in such a way to elicit an answer that they want. And the same thing's happening over here. Even though we try to avoid that, it still happens. It's human nature for that to happen. And so the thing to do is we've got to start figuring out ways to engage with viewpoints we disagree with. And living here in Eastern Kentucky, that's the way I'd do that. Now, I'd love to be able to do it in the academic arena as well, but can't do it here. But I go out in the community and I talk with greeters at the door in Walmart. I talk to people in Food City, the grocery stores near here. I talk to people in McDonald's and Taco Bell. And when I was walking through the streets of Williamson not too long ago doing a little live feed, I was talking to store owners and people in town and the people at the Chamber of Commerce and just me 24/7. And so I can sense how people are thinking, and it's for them, it's kind of a shock. They don't interact with too many people like me. There are others here, and they're thriving and they're successful. And I've seen these people. I've dealt with them. We're here. There's several of us here that I know of. So that's it. I mean, we are committed to being in the community, participating in the community, doing things and listening to people. And that's what we all should be doing. And that's how you kind of build bridges. Okay. You have to get out and interact with other people, even if they disagree with you. And that's what I've been trying to invite people to come in and have a conversation with me, whether or not they agree. Because the only way that I can understand them and their perspective is to listen to them. And the only way they can understand anything at all about me is to listen to me. So, but the thing is, you have to get rid of these. You have to find a way to break open these silos, these echo chambers that are constantly diverging from each other. The more they stay in lockstep with each other internally, the further the divide is that separates the two groups. Even though they're all Americans, the groups become so separated that and angry at the other groups that they can't hear them. They can't see them as fellow Americans. And that's what we see in a lot of this stuff. But we have got to have people who are willing to sit down across the table from each other and talk, engage, listen. It's imperative that we do it because so many times the anger and vitriol that one group has for the other. And by the way, I'm not saying that it's just this group that has that anger and vitriol or just this group towards the other. Anytime you have a silo groups, their division, their separation creates a space for anger and resentment. And so it's in the best interest of this entire country for us to figure out a way to talk to each other without being mean and abusive about it. Now, that's one of the caveats that we have to deal with, though, inside this kind of adversarial collaboration type work, whether it's in academia or even just out in the community talking to people in Wendy's or wherever, or at the courthouse. Whenever you're dealing with those people, you're talking about things that you're having to deal with or some issue, or you're going to get your license changed or updated and all that kind of stuff. You're interacting with people, but when you do so in a respectful way and they are being respectful back to you, and I haven't found anybody around here who's not. I haven't found that here. And I know a lot of people would say, "No, why would you go back there?" Because family's here, and I was asked to come back and help. So yeah, I'm here. So that's one thing. But since I'm here, I'm going to be talking to people, doctors and nurses and nurse practitioners and a whole slew of people across all kinds of things. Yesterday, for instance, when I was with my mom going in for the pelvic bladder scan over at Pikeville Medical Center, well, the lady who was doing it, I had a shirt on that had the U.S. Veterans Department on it, Department of Veterans Affairs, a little patch on my shirt. And she kept eyeing that thing and kept looking at it. And she finally asked me, she said, are you with the VA? And I said, no, I don't work for the VA at all, but I am a veteran and I do get care there at the Huntington VA in Huntington, West Virginia. It's the closest one. It's like almost 2 hours away. Yeah, that's a drive. But she was asking about it, and she said, but her father-in-law, 87 years old, a veteran, and had never once talked to anyone at the VA or anything like that. And she was saying that she's been trying to help. So I said, look, here's what you do. Here's what you do. One is go to va.gov and start the process of getting on there. Log in, find a way to log in, do the steps that you have to go through. And then there's ways in there that you can actually start an application process or get a hearing or whatever you need to be doing to get your care at the VA and get your ID card from the VA. You can do that all online. So she and I were talking about all of that. And, she was telling about her father-in-law's dad who had served in the Navy in World War II and all this thing. And so, and I could tell also that she is a conservative Christian lady. How can I tell that? The way she carried herself, the way she dressed, the way she had her hair put up, and that kind of stuff. I mean, it was obvious that that's most likely the case, most likely. But yet we had a good conversation. And that's something that any of us can do. And we can do it in a way that is not abrasive or angry in any way. Just talk to people. Give them a hug if you need to, because usually that's all they really need or want. Sometimes. I think I met one person out of the thousands of people I've met across this country. He said, no, I don't want a hug. But it wasn't because of dislike or anything like that. It's because that they didn't like hugs. Okay, but I'm a hugger. I like giving hugs to people, and I'll do this. Hug everybody, But that's how we that's how we get through these things where there are differences and where our silos, the walls we need to have holes in the walls of our silos and echo chambers. There need to be holes there. The gatekeepers within those within those silos, we need to find a way to shut them down, because they are causing the problems that close you off and create further division from the rest of the country. When someone tells you that, hey, we don't do that here, that's not what we want to do here in this particular group or community or whatever, and they're being the gatekeeper for their silo, protecting their territory, essentially. And that creates further divisions from the other silos, the left, right, whatever the silo might be that they're involved in. But the way to get them together is have a conversation, sit down across the table, acknowledge that you don't understand completely what they're talking about. You'd like to learn more. You expect them to kind of reciprocate and ask you the same kind of questions, or at least open that door up for understanding, rather than barraging you with all kinds of information that has come from their echo chamber. Hi, Julian. So that's what we see, is so many people are just surrounded by people who are just like them, think like them, believe like them, have the same kind of inclinations in the same places. So it's a challenge. And yeah, you'll run into people who you just cannot connect with, who are not open to any kind of discussion or conversations. that happens. That's life. When it does, you move on, you take whatever precautions you need to take, and then just move on. Take care of yourself. But never shut down, never, ever, ever shut down yourself from the rest of the community or the rest of the world, because you need to hear things, you need to see things, you need to understand them just as they need to understand us. And so it behooves us to be decent human beings all the time. And occasionally, though, you do get to the place where you have to drop a bomb on something and then proclaim out loud, real loud, like it was completely obliterated. And it may not have been, because the assessment hadn't been done yet, but not completely. But when that arises, though, you still have to have room to talk to people. So I started out talking about ATVs, UTVs, family, stuff like that. And I'm very honored to be back here in Eastern Kentucky. And I showed you the little symbol, the thing that this is where I am. Here's a Hatfield-McCoy feud. So yeah, this is where I am right here. Right here. This is it, folks. That feud, by the way, that is just fascinating history. It did start after the Civil War, as that plaque said. That started as a result of conflicts from the Civil War. And one side was Union, one side was Confederate, and all this kind of thing. And their children started falling in love with each other, and the two family leaders couldn't have that. And there was a pig involved that got stolen or something like that, probably just a wives' tale or something that came along. But that's the part of it that we can't marry into that side over there because they were Union. And you can't marry into that side over there because they're Confederates. Most of that conflict was across the river from each other, from Tug River. And the Anderson Hatfield house, Devil Anse Hatfield, that's just a couple of miles from here. McCoys and all that stuff, they're all right here. This is it. And it took up until 1920 to finally put an end to that with a shoot in Virginia with the chief of police and the Pinkerton security people for the railroad and everything else. I mean, it's funny. It was dangerous then, but that's where I am. And I invite anyone who has the means to do so to come in here, bring your ATVs, UTVs, go riding on these trails, go check it out. There's a lot of history in this area, a lot of history here. And most of the time, though, you have to ask questions because some of the history is oral. But it's a fascinating place. It really is. And some beautiful, amazing people here in Williamson, at the Chamber of Commerce, at the little beauty salon that I went into one day, at the little smoke shop. It reeked of marijuana. On 3rd Avenue in Williamson, and then the editor for the Mingo Messenger and things like that. Those are. It's good to talk to people, folks. Get out of your box and go see people. Most people will be nice back, especially when you're nice to them. So let's continue this conversation among different things later this evening at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I do want to say this. I am thinking about a way of consolidating the two shows and doing them more of a kind of middle of the afternoon thing, because there's some people who can come in at 6 and who can't get in at 6 because they have other things going on. And then the midday thing too. If I could put them somewhere in the middle of the afternoon, I'm thinking that it might be better for everyone. I don't know yet. I'm kind of playing with this in my head, and suggestions are always welcome as to how best to approach this, because I want to kind of consolidate things and be able to reach a bigger audience too. We're already, I mean, you can't tell it with the little eyeball thing over there with the count of people watching, but last week, just on LinkedIn alone, there were, of the different things that I post over there, from the blog posts and all that on the website, this website here, just go to that website, sign up. You know, there's a paid option, there's a non-paid option, free, whatever. But I post a lot there, and it shows up on LinkedIn and Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, things like that. Things like that. About five different social media platforms. Hmm. But go there, check it out. There's a lot of stuff happening, and I talk about all kinds of topics. I'm very thankful to the people who do actively watch, and we got a lot of drive-by watchers that won't click on it, but they just kind of hang out and watch. I know that as well. Um, so thanks again, and I look forward to interacting again with you this evening at 6. And then just have a great afternoon and be good to yourself too.